Okay, great.
Yeah, Ravi, go
Yes, I
on.
think we can start.
Yes.
Okay. So welcome everyone. We have now 39. That's a good number, close to more than 50% of registration. Since it's a working day, I'm expecting that people would join in say next 8-10 minutes. Since we have time, we thought we will introduce our ISTD and in specific Pune chapter. So ISTD started way back in 1970. That is 54 years back, and Pune chapter started 52 years back. So we have our website. We will share the details. I'm just, as mentioned earlier, that I'm running through slides looking at the constraint of time. So this is our Pune team. Uh, we call it as OB, that is office bearers, myself, Ravi, then Dr. Dipti is there, Shweta Bapat and Ashish, they would join little late. There are overlapping sessions also because we all are volunteers and professionally engaged in our routine also. So I'm expecting them to join little late. Then we have something known as National Council members. For every 50 members, there is a National Council member. So we have Dr. Ujgaonkar, who already joined. Dr. Rashmi also joined. Simantini is traveling out of India. Then Shuklaji, Vinayak Ghag, and Mr. Biraj Mohan Mishra. He is also taking holy bath in Mahakumbh. And then we have our managing committee where we have Mr. Prashant Bendre, Ms. Madhuri Chidravar, Dr. Ashish Vyas, and Dr. Uday Bhosle. Managing committee represents various sectors. So we have industry, we have NGOs, we have academia, we have manufacturing. Within industry, we have variety also. So then we have government. Our Dr. Josna Hirumuke last month only announced as IS, that is commissioner's role, and she has taken a charge of statistic department, which is newly formed department by government of Maharashtra. Then we have Mr. Sampath Fadtare, who represents again industry. Nitin Gawane also represent industry. So this is what about our team. Then quickly, we have a legacy of very strong leadership. So 52 years, you can just imagine why we could reach here. It's only because of the dedicated leadership team who believe in service leadership, serving the community, serving the society. Uh, just to give you numbers, we have this is 300 plus, but to be precise, we have 330 plus life members as of now, 21 plus annual members. There is a MOU that is for having collaboration with educational institutions. So we have a lot of MOU with different universities and institutions. Just number, if you look at, then you will come to know BIT, Symbiosis, Sinhagad, MET, and whatnot. You name, we have our collaboration. And we also have institutional membership, say NICMAR and other, educational institute, they go for institutional membership. Now, my focus will be on this learning forum because you are participating in learning forum. This is one thing we thought that what minimum we can offer to our community is minimum one session for sure, and that is for our own community. So we have started in August. Every 2 years, there is a new team takes over in managing the chapter. So me and my team took over in July, and August we have started, and we have decided every third Wednesday of the month, come what it may, learning forum session will take place. And we take pride in saying today we are going through a sixth learning forum. And as month goes, every time the number is going up. So first session we have started on relationship engineering. This was the first session. Then since we are a training and development fraternity, we also thought giving something which is more practical and application focus. So while we do a lot of programs, but more than delivery, we also involved in management of training. So when it comes to training management, administration, we thought, how do we chalk out, design the annual calendar? And this was a wonderful session. And we also believe not in competing but collaborating with different associations. So we have International Association of Facilitators, that is IF community. And for a number of years, we are helping each other. So I'm also wearing a hat of IF member, NHRD member, and then we collaborate and cooperate, and then we exchange our faculty on different forums, and then we help each other. So second forum was, one of our member is Ms. Vasudha Lal and Manoranjita Sau from ISTD IAF. So they celebrate International Facilitation Week. As a part of that week celebration, we have this session in the month of October. Then we have one of our member who, managing committee member, Mr. Nitin Gawani, who talked about quality. Although he was in US, but still the commitment for chapter is remain there. So by sitting there, he has conducted a wonderful October November monthly forum on quality, that is everybody's concern and business. Followed by, we had a wonderful tete-a-tete with uh, a very senior advocate and one of our proud member, Mr. Vibhakar Ram Tirthakar. His experience is 60 plus years, then you can imagine. And it's coming from diverse field, be it academia, institution, and also legal practices. And what a session. I mean, there are many participants who can share their experience of his wonderful session. Last month, we had again one of our pride, Pune's pride, I can say, Dr. Amol Madne, who has presented a book. He has published a book called Mind and Machine. So we had wonderful interaction. We entered in the world of AI and digital security. And he represents a industry. He represents Tata Motors, and he himself published 45 research papers. He is also a PhD guide. There are 7 8 students under working under him for studying and completing their research. And last but not least, the current month, we will come to know detail about our faculty, Mr. Yogesh. But what I would, in limited words, say that Yogesh is my dear friend. So Yogesh, welcome. Pleasure sparing time for Pune chapter.
बिल्कुल
Uh, and then Yogesh also done first session, similar session for our ISTD Hyderabad chapter. So it's not that since my friend is there, he is immediately directly entry. We have a process. So we have our monthly management committee meetings. So I have introduced his profile and his program. And when our managing committee member team approved his session, in the month of November. Then we thought December we checked. Again, mutual convenience. Dr. Madne was already requested. So I have requested him to reserve his time for January. And on the new year, we are starting wonderfully with Yogesh's session. Before Yogesh take over, I would also like to request two of our senior ISTD authorities and representation who represent a regional as well as national team. So initially, I would like to call upon Mr. Raju Rathod, who is our regional vice president. Raju bhai, I would request you to bring in your perspective about region and ISTD. And then I would finally request Atul bhai, who is our national president, to share about ISTD from the helicopter view. Over to you, Raju bhai.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi Baviskar, the chairperson of the ISTD Pune team. I also recognize the presence of our national president, Mr. Atul Shah, and today's resource person and speaker, Mr. Yogesh, also with us, and of course the vice chairman, secretary, and the entire team of ISTD Pune. So it is always pleasure to be a part of any program of ISTD Pune. We had a memorable, National Council meeting also last year at the Pune, and Pune being always a very active and innovative chapter. And this learning series is also creating a lot of vibration and dynamism in not only in ISTD Pune chapter, but in Western region as well as in the entire nation. So I am very happy the kind of topics selected by the Pune chapter in this learning series, and especially today's topic, which is my favorite domain, also called leadership. And I personally believe that there will be a huge crisis of leadership in times to come, because leadership is something we may be discussing as a part of MBA program, or maybe executive program somewhere, but we don't have any full-fledged institute teaching and educating and training about the leadership. Uh, on the basis of my experience, what I had got a chance to lead some of the chapters at Junior Chamber International and then at a Lions Club, and I was the president of my teachers union also for quite a long time. And then I was a founder chairman of ISTD Anand, and now I am getting this opportunity to serving as a leader of a Western region. So leadership is all about practice and experience, right? And that's why, rightly today, the thing is contextual leadership. If somebody want to understand Bhagavad Gita, how can somebody understand the lessons and teaching of Bhagavad Gita if you don't know the context of Mahabharata? That there is a story called Mahabharata in which there is a battle between rights and wrong, and then the hero of the story, Arjun, didn't want to fight, and then Lord Krishna mentor guide him and enlighten him that why to fight for the righteous thing. Now, if we don't understand this context within which the story is told, or that conversation happen in forms of question and answer between Arjun and Krishna, one cannot understand what is Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, a leadership can also not be understood right from the beginning of the theories of a leadership, what we call the heroic theory, and then we have a behavioral theory, we have a trait theory, and then we have finally situational and contingency theory. And today what we are talking about the transformational leadership style and charismatic leadership, and then neuro leadership, and finally, but the point is the in which context we are talking leadership. If Mahatma Gandhi born today, then would he be a successful leader? Or if Narendra Modi become the president of United States of America, will he be a successful leader? Right. So that's a question. If the context of a time, if the context of the place, and the context of the ecosystem within which you do a leadership, whether you are a good leader or not. So context is very, very important when we are talking about a leadership. So ISTD itself gives a hands-on experience of leadership. If you become a part of management committee of any chapter, you become a vice chairman, chairman of any particular chapter, and subsequently, if you take any post at the national level, you get a live experience of leadership, right? And that is what right now also I am a part of this particular program happening at ISTD Pune, and addressing all the wonderful people. So that itself is the leadership live experience. So no doubt, ISTD is the most dynamic and only institute in training and learning, and we have this 98 batch of a PGP program what we are running for last 92 batches, which also create so many leaders in the industry. And this particular program also cover a lot of leadership lessons, and particularly how you lead the training and learning and development domain. So I am very happy to be a part of this and also very eager to listen Mr. Yogesh sir also. And thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again. Over to Mr. Ravi.
भाभी जरा बोलो चाहे
Hello. Over to Atul Bhai.
I'll just take a minute.
Yeah.
I recollect a time when I read a book of Osho. Osho said, जितनी भी किताबें दुनिया में है पढ़ लो. And after reading all those kitabs, throw them into the Ganga. They are not going to help you much. If you want to learn, learn from people. Among the things that Dr. Rajubai said, and we have all learned, is from the wonderful people that ISTD has. There could be a plethora of qualities and plethora of issues that I could speak about how ISTD has changed our lives. But more than anything else, we've got the best people. There's an 83-year-old man in Chennai called Dr. DLN Reddy. I've learned undiluted love and loyalty for an organization from him. I've learned the pragmatism and prudence from Mr. Prerak Desai from Vadodara, who's over here. I've learned the large-heartedness from a leader from Hyderabad and Vishakhapatnam, Mr. Samba Siva Rao. Whether it be the sagacity of Arvind Kore from Vadodara or the affability of Natraj Ray, this organization has given the best people. If you want to learn leadership, just be with the people here. And you don't have to go too far, just be in Pune. Ravi Baviskar, the undiluted drive that I've seen in him, every kind of program that he comes, there is a touch of uniqueness and innovation in him. If you take the lady sitting in Singapore now, Madam Simantini Bhausar, the kind of maturity and methodology she brings into training is unparalleled. The commitment to the organization and the willingness to go in depth in every subject, I learned from Madam Rashmi Hebalkar, again from your Pune chapter, the multi-talented Mr. Mohan Rujgaonkar, or the openness to learn from Mr. Yogesh Upadhyay. I welcome each one of you all to drink from this knowledge fountain that ISTD gives. On this leadership contextual program, I'm all eager to listen to a program brought by one of our finest chapters, saluting Pune, that has built a brand of bonding and learning. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Atul Bhai. Great. So, again, now there are 46 number who joined today's session. So once again, I take this opportunity to welcome each one of you. I'm aware and we are also really feeling great that today's session is not just Punekar who are joining in. There are people from different chapters. Prerak Bhai is there. Then we have Raju Bhai, we have Atul Bhai, we have um, Preeti from Nasik. So there are Nasik, Baroda, Anand, then Goa, and so many others. So I take this opportunity to welcome each one of you. Also, there are non-members, and non-member is just a distinction between association with the ISTD, and there is no shortage of the basic intent of learning. And we thought when we have anyway putting efforts in offering the learning opportunities to our member, I think let's I still remember one example that instead of becoming a salesman, we should become halwai. So we did not sell. We just offer them to test a recipe. If they like, they like. Similarly, we would like to keep this learning opportunity open for all enthusiastic learners. And I'm sure in months to come, weeks to come, you will join our team, and that's learning doors are open for anyone and everyone. So now I would request our Vice Chairperson, Dr. Dipti Tulpule, to give a brief introduction of our today's faculty and facilitator, Mr. Yogesh, over to Dipti.
Dipti, one just quick request. Please don't read the entire, profile. I
No,
think
no,
just one or two
she
lines.
has 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, because I think Ganesh has really hinted all of us कि यार काम शुरू करो. So I think
Yes,
we should. So Ganesh, just give
sure.
us last 1 minute. I will start. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I
dot at
was,
7.
in fact, so excited because whenever we talk about leadership, we always says it cannot be learned or taught, but it's a skill that develops through time. And I think that's the right time that we all have approached. And with spending time with an excited person like you, certainly we are going to learn a lot. We are delighted to have you, Mr. Yogesh, and we are excited to listen to you. But please allow me to introduce a person whom we are going to attend today. So it's really my privilege that I got an opportunity to introduce you, sir. So everyone, good evening. And on behalf of ISTD Pune Chapter and my team, let me take the opportunity of introducing our guest today, Mr. Yogesh. He brings a rich experience in IT, business, and leadership development. He's delivered programs across geography. He's the only leader at Wipro to be awarded 2 times the Best People Manager Award by Azim Premji. Sir, we are really proud to know that.
Mhm.
He trains projects, deliveries, and program manager across USA, UK, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Dubai. And today, we are fortunate sitting at Pune. We have an opportunity to listen to you. So I welcome Mr. Yogesh for the session. Good evening, sir, and dais is yours, please.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Dipti. I think
Thank you.
we had a good session. So, team, as Dipti was saying that I was in Wipro for a very long time, and so whatever I'm going to share is coming from quite a bit of my own experience. So when I was in the business side, I used to come inside the training department, and the trainer would ask me to share some of the experience. And when I started sharing, and that Best People Manager Award was the reason I was invited. So the trainer would tell me about, my sharing. And when I used to share how do I manage people, is where, they would tell me about this contextual leadership as a topic. And that is where I started really knowing about this topic. And as I think we have been listening about leadership, and it's, I think, quite a bit of area that one has to pick up, starting from how do you manage your own emotions, how do you understand people's emotions, and when you want to really develop people, this particular framework, I think everybody should know, whether you are having a report is under you or not. But I think this framework is a very simple framework, not a very complicated to understand, but to implement is not so easy, which means that you really will have to reflect on yourself, and each one of us have a dominant leadership style. And the challenge is that am I becoming aware of that leadership style, and am I able to navigate that style? Uh, so for example, if somebody is new in my team, and when I say new is not by years of experience, it could be new for that domain. So for example, when I moved from IT, I'm a computer engineer by qualification, and when I moved to the leadership department, I was very new to that particular area. So if somebody is new, irrespective of his age, how do you handle that person? And gradually, how do you essentially change your style as you become older? I mean, as you become okay with this person who is learning something new. So I know Rahul Shinde is from, is part of our team, and I think Rahul, if you want to also come in sometime, please feel free to jump in. So how can I change my style? So for example, when somebody is new, so for example, if Dipti, for example, wants to learn about a particular topic and she's new, then I have to have a different style of giving, her a lot of information, a lot of data so that she can prepare. But as she, gets familiar with the topic and starts really to get involved in the topic, I should change my leadership style. I should slowly give her a free hand, let her, do go and deliver. The problem with leadership is if I am a person who is always want to, say, give too much of information, I end up doing it even when people have become comfortable. So then it becomes a challenge. And those people find it very difficult. They don't find enough freedom to kind of express themselves. On the other hand, if somebody is very new and you end up, treating them as oh they'll figure it out themselves, then there is a problem. Meaning they can't find how to go about doing that. So our ability to manage the style of leadership based on the reporting level is the whole game plan of this leadership framework. This is actually a one-day program, and I was talking to Ravi, and initially he was saying about an hour, and I kind of negotiated with him to at least do minimum 90 minutes, which I think we have. So we have time till about 8:30, and we are going to go at a stretch. So we're not going to have any break in between. And I'll request all of you to turn on your cameras, because I think that's one of the best way to at least be attentive in the classroom. Otherwise, you will end up, looking at your WhatsApp or any of those other, and especially it's evening time. So I think you will end up going into the kitchen, which is okay. It's part of the work. But if you are really wanting to take advantage of the session, I would request all of you to turn on your cameras, and not just for 5 minutes, turn on for the entire duration. Unless if somebody is using your room, then it's okay. But otherwise, keep it on all through the thing. Um, I would love to have a lot of conversation, but in this 90 minutes, I really doubt that I will be able to do too much of conversation. But if there is something that really bothers you and it's not getting clarity, then you can ask me the question in between. But otherwise, I will fairly go much faster. But I want to at least today give you an experience of what this means. And all my programs, I'm part of Crossover Leadership Journeys. We are a very practical oriented leadership company, which means that there is surely a framework, but literally you could go tomorrow morning and start applying this in your day-to-day life. In fact, as you start seeing the framework, you will start seeing automatically, hey, maybe I should do this style with this particular person, or maybe I should do this. You will get some ideas. So as we go, I will, you will experience that. We've also given you the participant workbook. So all of you would have got through Bhuvana over email. And if you don't have it, then Bhuvana can upload it on the chat here right now also. So you can have that looked at it. So let's start with, I'm going to share my screen. So let me share and give you a small exercise for all of you. So if you look at in your workbook, I have given 4 questions, and I want you all to discuss in groups. So I'm going to just give you about, say, maybe 15 minutes. So we are at about 7. So I'll just create rooms for all of you. So we are about close to 50 people. So I will create maybe 8 rooms. So we will have 6 or 7 people in each room. So I request all of you to quickly start looking at the 4 questions, and it's there in the workbook, but I will also request you to take a screenshot if you want, so that you can look at on your desktop also. So the first question is, what do you think is your dominant leadership style? Which means that, are you a task focused person, or are you a relationship focused person? Which means that do you prioritize task over relationship, or do do relationship as a priority over task? Do you like to give detailed instruction, when you assign something to somebody, or is it okay to give a high level description and then let them do it the way you have told at a high level? Do you get involved at every step while the task is getting done, or is it at times, periodically? And do you prefer getting talent from outside or grooming someone from within? Which means that if I have a requirement, do I look at first inside and then I go outside? What is your approach to developing people? So you can share an instance where you have turned a non-performer into a performer, and I am going to share a very powerful story that is like my story of how I learned this, and it stays with me for even today. When I learned this with my first boss in the organization I was working in 2001. So you can imagine it's like close to 25 years, and I still remember that particular situation. So this is the first 2 questions. Then the third question is, say if you have a team member and he has got some good cross-functional experience, and there is a project coming in which you think that the member can do well, but when you make him the in charge, it does not look excited, and so since you're under pressure, which option will you choose? Will you give this to somebody else, or will you discuss with him about his low excitement, or will you open the position for others in the team to take up voluntarily, or will you request the resourcing team to give you some alternate resource? So you have to discuss and then choose one option out of the four. The last question, yeah, the last question is, what is the percent of your time you're currently spending on each of these areas? So for team reviews, how much time do you spend? For handling change, and this could be in your organization, if you're an individual person, no problem, but what is your time in a day or in a week you are spending, broadly? So don't get too granular about it. How much time you're spending on hiring, how much time you're spending on aligning to vision, how many times you're spending on operations and motivating. So I'm going to create now the rooms, and I want you all to take 15 minutes. So I'm going to create say about 8 rooms. So you will have 5 or 6 people in each room, and take 15 minutes to have the discussion. I'm keeping it a small room so that you can you can have time to discuss. Yeah, 5 or 6 participants per room, and at the 15th minute you will see a message coming to you that it is going to auto close in 30 30 seconds. Yeah, so you can you can wrap up your discussion at that point. Now, don't get too worried about, you are still at the third question or second question, doesn't matter. But at least spend some time on all the question, and wherever you are, come back. I'll clarify those questions and I'll take it up, no problem. So I think Prerak is there, raising the hand. So Prerak, please, if you want to ask any question.
Yeah, good evening, good evening to Yogesh. Good evening. I have gone through your question morning itself, and I already filled up the whole thing and just send a reply to you in the mail also, the morning itself.
Oh, very nice, very nice, super. So you can share in your group whatever you have written. You can share with the group. Very nice. Thank you so much, Prerak. आप really हमारे प्रेरक हो.
Thank you.
प्रेरक means inspiration, ना?
So kind of you.
क्या बात है, बहुत बढ़िया प्रेरक भाई, है ना? ठीक है, so I'm just opening the room now. So you guys, as I said, all of you should keep your cameras on as much as possible and start the discussion immediately because we have got just 15 minutes. Yeah, so I'm opening the room. So Vivekanand, you can join the room. I think you should have got a pop-up on your screen.
Yes, give me a few minutes. I will join in a few minutes.
Yeah, please. Sachita, you can also join. Raju Bhai, Dipti, Dhananjay Godbole.
Yogesh, can you please resend the invite?
Yeah.
Because I switched from mobile to laptop, so I.
अच्छा, अरे राहुल नमस्कार.
Hi, how are you?
क्या बात है यार, एकदम बढ़िया है. आप तो दादा है यार, मैं दे दूंगा सेशन आपको.
नहीं सर, आप कीजिए.
ठीक है, चलो आप एंजॉय करो. एक्चुअली मेरे को पार्टीशन में बैठ के मजा आता है एक्चुअली.
हाँ, we don't get opportunity to witness your sessions, तो
है ना,
good opportunity
बढ़िया.
for us
अभी
to-
23rd को मेरा EI भी होने वाला है, जरूर आ जाना पॉसिबल है तो.
अच्छा, किधर?
ये वेबिनार ही, आई थिंक इफ यू कैन आस्क सुलभा ना, शी विल.
Okay, I'll check out with her.
मैं भेज रहा हूँ आपको.
Sure, got it.
Yeah. Hi Sambat, hi Rajesh, Simantini. Deepika, you are able to hear me, no? Bhuwana?
Yes.
Yeah. मैं just check कर रहा था. Yeah. Hi Babita.
Hi.
You guys look very happy when you are coming from the breakout room. ना ऐसा लगता है कि मेरा session से breakout.
Absolutely. Such healthy interaction, that really makes that time very valuable.
I can imagine, and I'm feeling so nice about all of you keeping your cameras on. Very nice. Yeah. Thanks, Mahesh.
And even the facial expressions has changed. So much
Yeah.
of
Yes.
smile. Nice,
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes. Very nice.
Yogesh, your questions are so thought-provoking. We could hardly complete the first question, the fourth part of the first question.
Yes. I can imagine. So, I mean, I would have loved to, so basically, and I know many of us are facilitators here. Some people maybe, I mean, at least majority of them are from the learning and training and development. So I'll also, wear my facilitator hat and kind of give you an idea if you were to run this session yourself. So what happens is this: in this 4 questions, you're basically trying to get people to start thinking. So and if I were to process the questions, so some people might talk about like in the first question about task and relationship, and there's nothing wrong about relationship, nothing wrong about task. The question is how can I change my style depending on the scenario. Okay, so there could be times when you have to be and there are 4 styles of leadership. We'll try and go through those styles, and you will see that how can you change those styles. So that becomes the first question. Yeah. So I will, instead of me processing it, because we will not have that much of time. We are already at 7:30, but I am just taking you through how you would try and facilitate and what some of the conversation you would have had. Yeah. So if I were to go back to the first question, where I think here is the first question where, as I was saying, that you start really getting them to start thinking that there are 2 aspects of leadership. One is you have to get work done, but yet you have to maintain the relationship. If you do too much of relationship, then work gets suffered sometimes. So no solution right now, just thinking about it. Second question is, your approach to developing people, and this is a very interesting, question. And as I was telling you earlier, that I will share a very interesting experience I had. So, in this organization where I used to work, we were a large IT company, and that time we had resources in the central pool, which means that people who are not on projects are there in the central pool. So as a project manager, you can request the central pool, "Okay, I have a project, I need 4 people or 5 people." They will give you those people. You can put them on a task for 6 weeks, and if you find them good for your project, you can start billing them, which means they become billable. If you don't find them suitable, you can return them to the pool. Now, there was a couple of people who were, marked as CNBL, which means chronically non-billable, which means these are people who would never be billed on any project. Okay. So, our boss, told us that, we are getting Ravi, not Ravi Bhavishkar, Ravi, what at that time, whoever was Ravi. So, he is available, and we are going to take him into our project. And we 5 of us vehemently said no, because we knew that Ravi was non-believer for a very long time. Now, this guy, when you meet him for the first time, right, he was absolutely, like non-impressive. He would, not even tuck his shirt. He would not be clean shaved and things like that. But he was amazing in his Excel skills. He was super in creating pivots. He was super in analytics. So our boss said that, usually we get 6 weeks time, but this time the central resourcing is giving me 12 weeks time, which means you can take him for 12 weeks. And if you don't find him, you can return, no problem. You know what the first task he was given by our boss? To analyze our projects. which is there was a concept called project staffing index, which means that if I have taken a project for 10 lakhs, and if I put say 5 people on that, and each one of them are costing 2 lakhs, then I am not making any profit. If they are costing more than 2 lakhs, then I'm making loss. Can you imagine when we did the analytics? Out of 18 projects, 6 were going to bleed in couple of months, which means we had staff people who were expensive than what we are making money. Now imagine this guy who we wanted to return became like our great friend because you told him, yaar, batao, how can we make our project profitable? How can we change the people? Yeah. Now this guy over next 4 years, he became the head of finance management in our practice, which means no project will get approved or submitted to the client unless he approves the project staffing index. Can you imagine? So, one day after a couple of, 1 or 2 years, we told, like our boss started pulling our leg. He said, can we return Ravi to the central pool? He said, yeah, why are you pulling our leg? And that time was a growth period of IT. We were even not even bothered about profitability. We were like, lagao, fatafat project lo, put as many people as you want and get things done. And we got a big lesson that day. And our boss said, but this is where you really have to learn that, people who are seen as non-performer by most people, actually you should look at what they have which people are not looking at. In this case, first time when you look at Ravi, you just don't get the confidence. But our boss was so amazing that to spot, and he said that we made more profit because instead of 6 weeks non-billable, we got for 12 weeks. During that period, we also learned that people are wanting always ready-made people, but you should, as a leader, should be able to spot that who are those people whom you can develop, and then there is no dearth of people because we then actually started picking up those everybody who was CNBL and started getting 12 weeks free. So our profitable went up. These people were more loyal because they actually were not being given the due opportunities by many others. But when we gave, they would never leave us. They would be with us forever. So I just thought I'll share this story. And when you're facilitating this session, you let people come up with their responses and you can then process it. But if they don't come up, this is your story if you want to use it. Yeah, Rahul, you want to share something?
Oh, since you're talking about it, it just reminded me of a quote which changed my perspective of looking at people and people management.
Yes.
So this beautiful quote I came across says that even the broken clock on the wall shows the right time twice a day.
Very
So
nice.
if a broken clock has a potential to be right twice a day, I think we as human beings have a potential to be right many times in a day. It's just about a matter of giving an opportunity and finding that.
Yes,
Wonderful,
yes, yes.
Rahul. Welcome.
Thanks.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
thank
बहुत बढ़िया actually. Very nice. Very, very appropriate actually. So like this, you can, process the second question. And then the third one is about like, when there is a pressure on a leader, yeah, there is a high chance that you will just tell HR care, I need a replacement. And this is your opportunity to develop people. So if somebody has some nervousness on taking a project, and how do you really handle those periods? How do you give the confidence to this person that, yeah, don't worry, मैं हूं तुम्हारे साथ करो देखेंगे टाइम so and as I was telling, so while initially we had our MC members and our chairman give very interesting high level motivation, but I am saying that this is day to day leadership, which means that in those moments are you able to handle yourself, meaning do you have enough confidence to say that, oh, this guy actually will be able to do it, and you should take that risk, meaning give the reportier confidence. Don't let the panic person be more panicked. You should try and maybe look at that and maybe I think discuss with him about his low excitement. So that you will find that a lot of people have their own challenges picking it up. So they want to play safe. And if you can train people. So this framework is about all developing people, which means you are actually going to go through a tremendous pressure in the journey, but are you able to hold on to that pressure? And this is like the day to day. And then the last question is very interesting. You should, when you facilitate or when you look at this, look at there is an interchange of the areas. So for example, some are very operational centric. So like team review, hiring, operations are all related to operations. But if you look at handling change, aligning to vision, motivating. Now The point is that if your percentage of time you're spending on handling change, aligning to vision, motivation is low, then you will spend more time on the other one. So the question is, as a leader, and as you go inside the journey, you will start saying, why am I spending so much time in reviews? Because people are not fully aligned. They have not been able to handle change well. They are not even enough motivated. Hence, you are able to get more people, and people are leaving in the organization. So this is just for them to start thinking that where is my time going? If your time is going more on operations, reviews, hiring, then you have to start switching. And that is where, and you are eventually also going to drive a point that if you are constantly busy, which means you are not developed your team under you. And this particular framework really helps you. So before I move forward, I hope I kind of tried to tell you about the four questions. But any question on the four question, so that I can clarify before I move forward. I would have loved to really process them, but I think we don't have that much of time. So anything that you guys want to ask me, any doubt that you have on this? Yeah. Umakant,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Any question? I could see some background noise from your home. No problem. तो
My grandson.
grandson क्या बात, अभी से लेके आओ सेशन में उनको.
है वो बाजू में ही है.
हाँ, ठीक है, no problem. So good. Anything? So I'll move forward. So basically, if you look at when you look at this framework of leadership styles, there are two, I think, dimensions. One is the directive behavior, which means you tell people what to do, why they should be doing that, when they should be doing that, and uh, how they should do it. So these are like directive behaviors of a leader, which is telling people, and there is nothing wrong in telling people. That is one of the axis of leadership. Yeah. So this is so as I was telling initially that if say Dipti joins us and she's working. Initially, I have to do a lot of telling, but then there are times when you also have to be supportive. So that is the next axis of a leader, which is listening to the concerns, asking question, and providing feedback when they are not able to perform something. So these are two tasks, and they get kind of into two axes. One is the supportive axis, another is the directive axis. And when I say here moderate support, that doesn't mean that you're not supporting. That means that you're not having too many conversations. So, for example, if I were into an IT industry, yeah, and I get a new joinee, who is learning a particular language, and initially I will give him lot of direction. I'll say that read this manual, go to the sandbox, do this exercise, come back and tell me. So you are basically giving him a lot of direction. You're not really asking him too much of input from here side. When I say support, is the conversation with that person, not needed much. So the conversation is low, direction is high. After maybe 3-4 months, 5 months, the person becomes familiar with the language. They start to program, and here is come the second style, which is style 2, wherein you start continuing to give direction, but you also start getting the person to also listen to that person. So the person says that, yeah, I had this new style of writing this code, can I do this? So you are saying, okay, try this in 2 out of the 6 programs, no problem. So you are basically starting to have conversation. There is high direction yet, but there is a lot of conversation also, which is high support. Now, this person after maybe 2 years is absolutely becoming all right. They become very good at whatever task they are doing. But suddenly, you see that the person is not performing. Okay, you observe that the person is not performing, and you know that the person is not performing not because the person does not know the technology or does not know the domain, that he still knows because he is doing the same job. So there was something else, which means you are reducing the support. You are basically going down on support, on direction, but you are going high on support, which means there is no direction required for the person because he knows the domain, he knows the technology, but the support is very high, which means you're trying to find out from that person. If his person's name is say Mahesh, you start asking Mahesh, "Hey, I think, is there something going on in your life? Is there some challenge at your home? Are you no longer enjoying the assignment that you're doing? So you're trying to know more about what is going inside, and that is your style. So you can see how in this contextual leadership framework, you're slowly moving from one style to another. So from a time when you're giving too much of direction to the time you're giving very low, very moderate direction, which means you're trying to find out. And he says, yeah, I think my mom is going through a tough medical situation, and hence I am very distracted nowadays. And you tell this person that no problem, I think you can maybe give some load to your other colleague, and maybe after 6 weeks you can bounce back and come back, and then again he comes back and he's all on his own. And then you move to style 4, which is low direction, low support, which means there is nothing required more because the guy is back in action. You don't have to even fiddle with that. If the person needs, he will do that. Now, once the person is good at that particular task, your job is not to stay here. What you do is you again go to S1, which means you're taking in new technology. So, for example, if Mahesh is working on C++ earlier, you want to make him learn now, say, Java, which is you again start with S1, which means you tell Mahesh that, hey, Mahesh, you're absolutely good in C++. Now let's start Java. Again, you start giving direction. Again you start going to style 2. Hope he is not getting the same problem again. You become S4 in Java. Then you again go. So this is a very wonderful style of developing people systematically, which means you are never stopping. So if Rahul is like working with me, I will tell Rahul, Rahul, you want to go through design thinking now. So let's start with designing. I give him all Stanford material. I give him direction. He start delivering program fantastically. But there is a dip. I again bring him back. Then I give him away for design thing. I don't even talk about it because he's now done. Then I tell him, oh, do you want to start negotiation now? So let's start with negotiation here. So like this, as a leader, you are changing your style to develop people. So I'd like a pause here. Any thoughts, any reflections you would like to share on this basic model before I, proceed further? So all of you can again keep your cameras on. I think Sampath, Rajesh, Amod, keep it on all through the journey, because then only you will benefit. Otherwise, if you are keeping it on, I would also not know your things. Any thoughts, any reflection on this?
Yogesh, I can share a few thoughts.
Sure.
I think we all want to manage people, and we all think about how should we do it. So this model, those two dimensions of directive behavior and supportive behavior actually helps me classify my action for my people. So I think that is highly beneficial for me to take a stance
Yes.
as to where do I invest in this person. Is it the task part of it, or is it the motivation part of it?
Very
And
nice.
that way, I at least have a strategy and a direction to go with, instead of just having some pep talk and just having some, having some high-by conversation.
Yes.
Then I think it makes a lot of sense for the people as well, because they understand this leader is able to understand my need and cater to my need. So I think
Yes.
that is the beauty I see in this model that you're talking about.
Very nice. In fact, Rahul, since you said this, one interesting experience I want to share. So there is a very big retail chain, and I was invited to go to the offsite of the CEO and his direct reports. So the head of HR, Venkat, I told him, "Yaar, काय को मजाक कर रहा है?" Because this is like 27 crore, 100 crore company. I said, boss, I am not going there, because उतना लोग को क्या सिखाएंगे? मतलब they are like already dadas. He said, I don't know. Half day you have to have blocked for you. Whatever you want to do, you do. So whenever I get into such a situation, I use this framework, which is so fantastic. So what I did is I kind of put this framework up. I told this, there were 7 reportees and the CEO. And I asked these people that, where do you think you are at? Like all these 7 people. Do you think you're at S4? And 7 में से 5 लोग ने हाथ उठाया कि we are at S4. मतलब my teams are all set. They are all working on their own. My next question to them. in last 6 months, tell me one initiative that is not defined in your G&Os, or it is like beyond whatever you guys have been designed. And those five are looking at me and like thinking, kya sawal hai? And I thought, I told them that I don't want to corner you, but this is what happens. What happens with us is that as leaders, we become very comfortable being with our reportee when we work with them for too long. And that is where the competition is now going for S1, but you are still sitting at S4. So when the competition is on S1 on a new thing and you are still sitting with S4 on an old thing, then suddenly the competition leapfrogs. So as a leader, you should never be sitting on S4 for too long on that topic. You have to always find new S1 for your teams. And that was so powerful, I tell you, because so I only had to spend 45 minutes on this. And then I put them on groups and I said, boss, karo kaam. And then I'll only come to after 1 hour. So imagine, Ravi, that and it's a very normal issue with most leadership, that you get
True.
comfortable at S4 and you have to constantly moving from S1 to S4 and again find new S1. That's the power.
Yeah. In fact, last Saturday, I had an opportunity to facilitate outbound session for
Yes,
one of the manufacturing company, and all manufacturing functional leaders were there.
yes,
And the new leadership joined.
yes,
And although people are working with the company for 7, 8, 10 years, just for the curiosity purpose, when I
yes,
checked out the total experience, it was 1,250 years.
yes,
Yeah, I said, now the leadership is there and team building. The topic was somewhere related to building bridges for
yes,
success.
yes,
So, moment we move on to typical problem solving of team and this thing,
yes.
I have also introduced a new topic called um, there are simple problems, complex, complicated, and chaotic. Now, although when they started reflecting at individual level and a small group level,
Yes,
lot of problem which appear and perceived to be complex and
yes,
complicated, when
yes,
it comes to processing at the larger group,
yes.
automatically those were brought in to the
No,
lower
no,
level.
very nice.
And
Completely, so very nice, Ravi. So as we go along, you will see that this style also now gets reflected in many areas of leadership. Yeah. So when you look at the first one, yeah, which is decision making. Yeah. So if you look at the same style 1, 2, 3, 4, when you are in style one, the leader decides alone. So, if I continue with Mahesh, I'll say, or maybe Rahul, बोलो, यार राहुल ये वाला मॉड्यूल ले लो, ये कर लो, वो कर लो, right? But as the person starts really giving a lot of inputs, the leader decides with input from the reportee, from the team members. कि ठीक है, अब आप भी बताओ क्या करना है. In
correct.
style 3, the team member decides with support from the leader, which means no longer the reportee is not able to perform because of domain or technology issues. Knowledge तो पूरा है, कहीं पे confidence lose हो गया है, and that is where you have to start letting the person decide. So now when you're doing this, you need to be very careful that many a times your reportee wants to give up. और बोले ऐसा नहीं होगा मेरे से. And that is the time you have to be very careful on not letting the person give up, but you give him enough confidence so that the reportee can bounce back. And then in S4, the team member decides alone, which means you let the person, यार तुम लोग अपने आप सोचो. Yeah. So how is the decision made? Who is involved in the decision making process? How do people participate? All this will come inside, this decision making. Similarly, if you look at communicating, so when you are looking at communicating, again, there are two axes. One is giving information and seeking information. So in style 1, you are actively influencing by giving lots of information. ऐसे करो, वो करो, yeah. But when you are in style 2, you're active on both. You're also giving information, you're also receiving information. But on style 3, you're not giving too much of information. You're only doing deep listening. And if people who are on coach on this particular program today, you would know how important this is to listen to people, because just listening will solve many of their problems. And last is you're limited on both, because you know कि यार वो बंदा is all doing it himself, so you do that. Yeah, so these are all there in your workbook. So Sabha, this workbook is with all of you, so you know, if you want to like go back and practice this, you can actually go and reflect. Everything that you are seeing here is in the workbook, so you can actually develop yourself. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Ravi has my number. You can take my number and call me also if required. And then essentially you are saying that if you look at all this, and I want you to reflect on the last bullet on this, which is very, very important, that when you look at these four styles on the attributes of leadership, you are giving recognition for complying. So you appreciate the person कि यार तुम मेरी बात सुन रहे हो. In style 2, you are appreciating by quality of input, meaning you are recognizing the person. यार हाँ यार बढ़िया बताया आपने, very nice, you are catching up very beautifully. Third is you're giving recognition to the person for seeking advice, because they should feel nice about coming to you and sharing what they are going through. So you're recognizing for that. And last is you're giving recognition for assuming responsibility. So this last four bullets are just amazing as you go along. Yeah. So when you go back and maybe today evening or tomorrow when you have some time, just look at who are the people who you are working, like the way Rahul said, right? You should start thinking about your own team members and see where am I currently. Am I operating with style 1 only most of the time? With some people, should I move to style 4? Those who are not performing, should I apply style 3? The things like that. So you should have your own reflection with your people. But when you're doing this and filling this table in your workbook, make sure that you're being very careful that you're when you're say directing people, they should not feel you're dominating. Yeah, and here is where the leadership skills feel. They should feel that, oh, you are really giving them right direction without dominating. Second is when you're solving problem together, you should not be over involving, because they are still learning. So you don't want to be involving so much that you have to tell them to kind of take back, but you have to be careful. Third is when you're developing, this style 3 is for developing people, which means that you should not be over accommodating. So right, this eagle story that or maybe the birds or the chicken story, that when they're coming out from the egg, there is a tendency to help, but if you help them too much, they will lose their wing for life. So when you are in style 3, although they are giving you all the reasons for not taking it up, but you need to be ensuring that you are not letting the work coming on you. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि you will tell, okay, don't worry, I will take care. No, you will say, I am there to take care, but you tell me what is the plan. This is just a temporary phase. You can take off for some time, but I'm not going to take up your work because this is your job. You'll have to pick it up. And then last is, ऐसा नहीं कि when you are in style 4, you're abdicating the team, that you're not even available, and you tell them that बस अभी आपको दे दिया ना चलो. So you have to be there, but you have to be careful about this 4 style, being there, and hence you have to use this 4 style with a lot of behavioral consistency, which means you should not be seen here someday to he is micro, someday is like completely delegator, suddenly he becomes like he doesn't even talk to us. So they should not get the mixed feeling about that. So you have to be very careful. And when you're doing this, you'll also start that there are 2 cycles that people will go through. Yeah, one is the frustration cycle and other is the empowerment cycle. So when you look at frustration cycle, is essentially when you are say you are say Mahesh is with me here and I say that yaar chalo abhi to take this up and go ahead, don't worry, okay, and you become let them go do on their own. But the moment they are not able to do, you take back the job from them. यार तुमसे नहीं होगा, छोड़ो मैं ही करता हूँ. That is very frustrating for people. So you are giving direction ke do and telling them here I am delegating, but you are actually abdicating. And then you are dominating, saying yaar chalo lao main hi kar deta hu. That is very frustrating. And you have to be very careful while you are doing that. This is a frustration cycle. But there is a very interesting cycle called the empowerment cycle. And this is very interesting, that you give people all the direction and let them work on S4. But if they are not able to do, you never take their back work, but you go to style 3, which means you will tell these people, yaar, karo na, tension mat lo, main hu na aapke saath. And if still they are not able to do, you are basically going to style 2. Now you must be asking me this question यार पहले तो आपने बोला कि S1, S2, S3, S4 करो and suddenly you now change the style from S1, S4, S3, S2. ये कैसे? This is if you want to develop people faster. So both the styles are okay. You can go S1, S2, S3, S4 or go S1, S4, S3, S2. But this one is a risky bet, which means you are suddenly giving direction and letting people do on their own. So you have to take a call as a manager or as a leader, which of those tasks can be this way and which of the tasks can be the other way around. So I'll take a pause here. Any thoughts, anything that you would like to ask me about the empowerment cycle versus what you learned so far?
In fact, I would encourage both ISTDians as well as non-ISTDians to participate in the conversation. And there are people from different chapters also. So feel free. This is a platform to share and express.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, this is Bhupesh. Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Yes, as since I'm with an edutech segment, the potential, or you can say frequently, I'm working from last 15, 16 years with purely in a part of edutech, where I'm an
Yes.
expert of the Tata Test also, I'm expert of Pearson, McGraw. Now I'm working with an Indore IIT, right? So, the typically thoughtness is, whatever I have understand as well as I'm running my own consulting also, the part of the organization setup. So typically two things here we are going through the domination. You can say domination, that is the right word, or I'm not getting exact word to say.
No problem.
People are unable to set their own goal. That is the first priority. उनको सिर्फ एक चीज चाहिए, boss, I need a number, I need a sale, I need budget. They don't want to interpret the internal problem. They don't want to face a problem what is going on a ground level.
Yeah.
Actually, mistake is there. होता है कैसे ना, now I'm appointing a simple I'm appointing a business development director, directors, manager, team members, and rest of the things. I'm putting or overheading the another company's handsome product manager also to prepare the all other things. Then when the people of sales or the people of demonstration for the products, they are going on a field, they are unable to understand the things because every geography, every people, every understanding things, the way of understanding is different, way of convincing of difference. और सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम यही पे हो जाता है, नहीं, they people stand like weak from this.
Right. So Bhupesh, I think this will really help you when you are, apply this 4 style, and I'm sure you will be able to get. Thank you, Bhupesh. Yeah, Prerak.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Yogesh. So my context is entirely different from the whole lot. I was working in ONGC, public sector. So we have got on one hand, we have got S1, those who are self-motivated, those who are performers. For them, give them full liberty, full empowerment, let them do what they want to do. And there is one set of employees who are not willing to work. They don't want to work at any cost. So you follow the S2 model of empowerment. Make decisions yourself and tell them to implement. Another thing, what you told just now, that if you listen to people, how the problems will be solved.
Yeah.
I have discovered myself. I have made a new model myself based on my experience. All my life, I have worked in industrial relations. So I call it pressure cooker model.
Yes.
लोगों को इतना बोल लो तो उनकी सीटी बच जाए, जैसे सीटी बच जाएगी प्रॉब्लम अपने आप सॉल्व हो जाएगा. You don't have to intervene at all. You don't have to do anything. Give them chance to speak. Once they speak their minds out, their problem is solved. Their only problem is they want someone to listen to you.
Very nice. Brilliant. Super.
So that's what we have been doing. And in public sector, we have got 2 more tools. I'm sorry to use to be honest with you, but one tool is promotion nahi milega tumko, and number 2, you'll be transferred to Assam.
Yes.
We get things done.
You have at least that right to say something.
Yeah. So no, I agree with Abhi, like only my request is that times have dramatically been shifting now, So if you look at the new workforce, if you look at the way youngsters and the young generation is looking at career, I think many of those earlier styles will not work actually. I've had situation they're unemployed and yet rejecting jobs, so you can see when they're not too worried about who's going to take care of them, nothing, I think. So I think my request is to look at this style, and it's absolutely there for many decades, and it will continue to size. You can have so in fact there is a very interesting book I think all of you should read called Drive, and Ravi can just put it on the chat here, called Drive by Daniel Pink. Now it's a very popular book. When I first read couple of years ago, it was not that popular, but it's a very nice book. I think all of you should. So you can actually start superimposing many leadership qualities on top of this framework. So you can put Drive and put it under 4 style. You can also read this book by Edgar Sheen, EDGARSCHEIN, by called Humble Inquiry. Very nice book. I think these 2 books, I think all of you should buy and read these 2 books, Humble Inquiry and Drive. Humble Inquiry will teach you, on style 3. So these 2 books are a great combination for you to do that. Yeah. So as we start seeing this empowerment, S3 is a pivot point, which means that you're actively listening for that critical situation where, you want to make sure that they are not giving up and you're providing predictability, flexibility. And as I was saying, this is a risky proposition. So you need to be make sure that you're not putting a very critical customer engagement on this, but you should learn this empowerment cycle also. So do S1, S2, S3, S4 for some development. Do S1, S4, S3, S2 for the other types. And I am so fluently talking about it because I've been doing this session for many years. But when you start reflecting on yourself, you will have a lot of questions for yourself on your style. You will start seeing that, yeah, maybe I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing. And then on that, you can superimpose other leadership skills that you would need. Yeah. So you can.
Yogesh,
do
Babita
your-
has raised hand.
Oh, really? Okay. I could not see
Yeah.
her. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's
Okay.
what I thought, let me
Hi,
request.
Yogesh. So no, very interesting perspectives, and I think very similar to what we do in situational leadership as well.
Yes.
The
Yes.
only
Yes.
difference that I see here is that in situational leadership, the styles are based on the maturity and development level of the candidates. And here
Yeah.
we are putting a lot of stress on the context, responding
हाँ
to the broader environment.
हाँ बबीता एक पिक्चर बाकी है आ रहा है वो
Okay,
हाँ
okay,
इट्स
then
कमिंग
that
अप
was
या
just
या
ट्रेलर हो गया, पिक्चर बाकी है.
हाँ नहीं तो अभी आएगा it's coming up, so it's absolutely, in fact, Babita, if you are done situation, it's very similar model.
very similar.
Yeah, very similar
आप अभी
model.
एग्जांपल दे रहे थे न्यू जनरेशन का, मुझे लगता है
Yes.
वहां पे सिचुएशनल लीडरशिप fits really well.
Oh yes,
But yes,
yes.
I'm sure you're going to talk about it.
No question about it. Absolutely, so this is absolutely the situation. Only thing is that in situational leadership, the amount of detailing that workshop goes through, we, in our workshop don't go through that much, because we also feel that too much of like prescription sometimes becomes too overbearing for people. So my thinking is that give as much as, because I come from a very long operation sales background, and I know that people, if you give too much, then they just give up. They said, "Boss, itna
Absolutely.
bada mail kaun karega?" So the way I have been thinking about is that give very simple framework, easy to
Absolutely.
understand, and let them learn in the journey. Then they start doing it. अरे यार ऐसे करना चाहिए, वैसे करना चाहिए. And the same manual will actually get built up in their own experience as they go through. So that's my thinking, and so you can do that part. And then I think there is a very interesting concept called performance potential, and here is where, Babita, the reporting level comes into play. So when you look at
Yeah.
any project, right, we have got many goals, and then we have got many tasks to achieve the goal. Now, many people or many managers, many leaders, start not being so granular about it. So they think अगर किसी goal में, if like Ravi, the initial story that I spoke about, right? Maybe he was not good at communication. People started labeling him. कि यार ये बंदा नहीं कर पाएगा. And I am telling to leaders that can I become that granular that For each goal, what are those tasks? And for each task, you look at both aspects, which is ability and motivation. Which means, so for example, if I were to just do conversation with Babita as an example, so Babita is part of crossover. Babita, आपसे आपको हमारा character बना देते हैं. Yeah. So Babita is like part of crossover, and Babita joined at a time when we were just about 10, 12 people, and Babita would go and talk to Sulba or Deepika and get things done. But as we started growing, we wanted to bring in processes, and I tell Deepika, Babita that, hey Babita, अपने को ना Excel sheet use करना है, and whenever there is a request, you should update this status, that status, and then send her for Excel training. But बबीता आके वापस से वो कुछ करती ही नहीं है, मतलब शी विल नेवर अपडेट द एक्सेल शीट. एंड देन आई टॉक टू दीपिका एंड टेल दीपिका कि यार बबीता को ना एक और एक्सेल का मास्टर क्लास में भेजते हैं. देन शी अगेन कम्स बैक एंड डजंट डू दैट. सो यार कितना अभी 2 बार तो भेज दिया, एंड देन फाइनली वी सेड चलो एक और क्लास हो रहा है उसमें भेज देते हैं. बट अगेन शी कम्स बैक एंड डू दैट, एंड शी डजंट डू दैट. या then I go and talk to राहुल शिंदे, who is an expert in our company, and I tell राहुल यार जरा एक बार देखो तो बबीता क्यों नहीं कर रही है. सो राहुल goes and talks to बबीता कि यार बबीता ये काहे के लिए आप एक्सेल नहीं कर रहे हो, और इतने बार बोला योगेश ने. तो बबीता बोलती है कि ये सब एक्सेल एक्सेल फालतू है यार, सीधा जाके दीपिका से बात करो, काम खत्म, क्या ये सब भरने का एक्सेल वैक्सेल. नाउ इफ यू लुक एट बबीता को, मैं ना एबिलिटी पे पूरा ध्यान दे रहा था, मतलब सेंडिंग फॉर एक्सेल, डूइंग ऑल दैट, बट आई हैव नेवर लुक्ड एट मोटिवेशन. मोटिवेशन इज, बबीता स्टिल बिलीव्स दैट वो जो फोन करके जो काम होता है ना, वो सब ये एक्सेल वैक्सेल का बकवास है, इसको जरूरत नहीं है. So when I look at motivation, what do I do to Babita is I take her to maybe one of the large organization जहाँ पे data लोग update करते हैं, the information flows seamlessly, and how it runs like a beautiful large company. Then she gets an idea, अरे हाँ ये तो बहुत जरूरी है, so let me learn Excel from that angle. So many a times when we are looking at people, हम लोग ability पे बहुत ध्यान देते हैं, ये ट्रेनिंग भेजो, वो करो, but देखते नहीं कि यार वो बंदे को करना भी है कि नहीं. Now, on the other hand, there are a lot of managers who give lot of motivation. यार आज से ना सब लोग ये करने गए, वो करने गए, बट कोई ट्रेनिंग नहीं है. People are lost. They don't even know कैसे करना है. Now, what is the right balance is what you need to look at performance potential, meaning, and you can imagine now the amount of task leaders will have on this, because आपको उतना granular जाना पड़ेगा. ये देखना पड़ेगा कि बस ये बंदे का मोटिवेशन कहाँ पे, इसका एबिलिटी कहाँ पे, and then do a combination. Yeah, so when you do this, you will start realizing that everybody in your team has something that they can contribute. You're not labeling people at a goal level. You are basically going that granular कि उस गोल को अचीव करने के लिए क्या क्या टास्क है, उस टास्क में क्या एबिलिटी चाहिए, क्या मोटिवेशन चाहिए, एंड दैट इज हाउ यू स्टार्ट डेवलपिंग. सो यू वुड सी एज आई एम टेकिंग यू थ्रू दिस, जो पहले बहुत सिंपल सिंपल लग रहा था ना, ये सब अभी गहरा बनते जा रहा है, विच मीन्स यू आर ट्राइंग टू सी बोथ the technical part, the job knowledge, the organization knowledge, and then the confidence, interest, willingness, alignment, all this comes together. So as a manager or as a leader, you have to ensure that you're looking at both the aspects. And in your workbook, you will see that I know that in behavioral science, we cannot be too numeric or binary in our approach. Yeah, but still, I have put some numbering mechanism for you to start knowing which is the style I should use based on the performance level. So I am giving 2 marks to high, 1 mark to moderate, and 0 mark for low, which means if somebody, in this case, if the motivation was low, which is I'm giving 0 mark. So if you apply this numbering to this particular table where you say that if ability is high and motivation is high, which means the guy is good, वो कर रहा है अपना काम, you apply his performance level is P4, right? Now if it is P4, it is very simple that you have to apply S4. So जो performance level का number है वो स्टाइल लगाना है. तो if you start knowing your people from 2 angles, that what is their motivation, what is their ability, and then put them in the respective performance level. If you see that ability is high but motivation is moderate, or ability is moderate, motivation is high, they are in P3, which means you will apply style 3. Similarly, if you see ability is high, but motivation is low, or ability is moderate, motivation is also moderate, or ability is low and motivation is high, it is P2. And the last one is ability is moderate and motivation is low. So, since we don't have time, otherwise, there is an exercise that I do in the classroom, and you will see that in your workbook. And I want you all to take a look at the workbook, and you will see that there is a matrix that is given, which means that each of these motivation and ability is plotted on x-axis and y-axis. There is a nice case study that is there in your workbook. Take a look, spend some time, and start putting those characters where they will fall under. So there are, I think, 5 or 6 case studies which I would want you all to take a look at it so you can practice it yourself. And while you start doing this, if you're running this program for your participants, what you should do is that बस ये ना एक तरीका है to start getting into this habit of looking at both aspects when you're dealing with people. You're not getting too caught up like जैसे बफीदे के एग्जाम्पल में हम खाली एबिलिटी पे चले गए, मोटिवेशन देखा ही नहीं. ऑन द अदर हैंड मोटिवेशन खूब ज्ञान बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर रहे हो बट एबिलिटी नहीं करवाया तो वो भी नहीं चलेगा. तो दोनों का दिस ए वेरी ब्यूटीफुल प्रैक्टिस. या सो टेक ए लुक एट योर वर्कबुक्स, यू विल स्टार्ट सीइंग दैट वेरी ब्यूटीफुल एग्जाम्पल देयर. And then these are the case studies. So there is Aloka, Alok, Sirisha. There are, I think, 5 characters, Vishaka, Monica. You can go and practice that on yourself. And you can write to me if you have any question. And then you can see that I think a range is very normal, meaning you will have people, some of them are performance level 3, 2. So don't like pigeonhole people. Human beings के साथ तो depending on where they are. Look at a person from both angles. कि ability भी देखो उनका, motivation भी देखो. So if you see here, you can see if the performance level is 4, you can apply style 4. If it is performance level 3, you apply style 3. If it is performance level 2, you apply style 2, and like that you apply style 1. So you can see. And अगर बंदा P0 पे है तो then I think he will have to look for an HR intervention. But otherwise, I think most styles you can do. So I'll come to the last part, and this is also a very interesting part that I think you all should read this book called The Inner Game of Work, which is by Timothy Galway. Many of you would have, it's a very old book, which is performance equal to potential minus interference. Interference could be many things. Like when you're in style 3, that's the interference. So the guy had potential, Mahesh had potential, but there was an interference of his mother not being well or going through some problem. So on top of this, there is a last concept that I want to quickly cover, which is performance contracting, which is basically what happens is that when we work with people, right? So for example, if I'm working with Rahul, who I've been working for many years now, there is a tendency कि हम लोग we take it for granted. अरे यार राहुल ही है ना कर लेगा वो. But actually, in reality, that is where many leaders make a mistake. So you have to be very sure to always check with your team members. If I give you a certain task, what performance level you are at, which means if you tell me that I am at P2 or I am at P3 on this particular task, then I am applying that style to you, which means that you have this very beautiful step called 4 steps. So one is identify the goals to be accomplished. So this is very simple. So you are basically saying कब करना है, और क्या करना है, ठीक है. Then you list down those tasks and you ask the people that team member that the what style are needed. If the team does not need any support, yeah, then it is style 4. But if we need support, what kind of support do you need? So you basically choose the appropriate style. So whatever you have learned so far, which means the performance potential का जो आपने सीखा है, that way you will know, right? So starting from what you learned from the beginning till in between, but you are ensuring that every time you are giving a task, you are ensuring that you are doing this check. If you don't do this check, and you would hear a lot of people, many times telling that, अरे यार पहले बोलना था ना. पहले बोलना था should be asked from the leader, not from reportees. So don't blame your people when things are not going well. You have to use performance contracting, which means you have to ensure that you are checking with the people कि यार आपका readiness level है क्या. अगर वैसा है तो what style do you need, and based on that performance level you start putting your leadership style. So essentially this was the last concept that I wanted to cover today. So we started with the reflective questions, we introduced to the framework, then we looked at कि भैया आप abdicate मत करो, don't get over involved, so what you should be careful on. And then we slowly moved on to looking at both motivation and ability together by using the performance potential, which means that each one of us actually has got people who can absolutely perform. The question is that are we using the right style? Are we being more granular about the task for each goal? Are you doing performance contracting? If you just apply these three concepts, I can tell you that you can really create wonderful teams. You can unleash potentials of a lot of people. And personally, I have benefited tremendously from this particular, framework, which we very actively practice at Crossover. Um, so we use it for our own teams. We teach our clients. I'll just unshare. And so Ravi, I think we are at 8:20. We have got 10 more minutes, and I just want to also introduce you guys to a very nice group that we have called the Leadership Chaska. Chaska is like in Hindi addiction, but this is an acronym for Crossover Hosted Association for Knowledge and Skills Advancement. So it's called that Chaska. So, there is a link
Nice.
that Deepika would have, and some of you might be already on that group. It's a WhatsApp group. Essentially, you join the group by clicking on that link, and every month you keep getting, the detail. And the other thing is, I was telling Ravi that we'll provide you 1 month of support, which means one of our mentors will send you articles, videos that you can, use. And if you are leading this program, you can use those to also share with your participant in future. So 1 month, I think we'll create a group, WhatsApp group of all the people who have joined today, and then you guys can, take advantage of the mentoring post. You can ask any questions you may have, and also I think there is a feedback link. So while I am opening up for next like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to ask any questions you may have, any reflections that you want to share, I think all of you can turn on your camera so I can see all of you. I know some of you have kept, thank you so much. But otherwise, there is a link for feedback. And Ravi, I'm open to any questions anybody might have. Anything do you want to share? Yeah.
Sure. In fact, nice. Uh, Having space to express is important. Otherwise, it is just become a lecture. And I'm sure all our sessions, we are attempting to make it facilitative, conversational, and hence feel free to use this opportunity. You can introduce, you can share your experience, you can share even how you would like to apply this. It will be interesting conversation for next 5-7 minutes. Then I
Yes.
would need couple of minutes to vote of thanks and closing.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Yogesh, I would like to mention something. The topic was very interesting. It was initially a heavyweight topic, but you explained in a very featherweight style and giving appropriate examples. And most
Yeah.
important was participation by the participants. So that made us, feel an integral part of the event rather than being on the
Yeah.
receiving end. We were also contributing to what you were talking. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was wonderful. As Raviji rightly put it, participation made a lot of difference.
Yeah, और फिर एक ये हमारा क्रॉसओवर में एक यूनिकनेस है कि you will see any of our programs. So 23rd I am doing a program on emotion intelligence, and you will see कि our style at crossover is like absolutely very simple. Like at the end people will just go back with the motivation. अरे इतना easy है. So we give very simple, easy, real life examples so that the framework comes to life.
That's what I told you. You made it featherweight.
क्या बात है?
Nice, thank you.
Very nice. Yeah, Shweta, anything? Aditi, you want to share? जो लोग का कैमरा ऑन है मेरे को दिख रहा है उनका स्माइल हल्का फुल्का तो Yeah, बबीता तो have spoken, but अगर कोई और नहीं बोलेगा तो हम बबीता को बोलेंगे यार हमारी character भी बने. So can we give a virtual clap for Babita for making the character in our conversation?
Okay, my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Sir,
So
can I?
yeah,
Yes,
please,
yes,
please.
please go ahead.
Sir, Yogesh sir, it was very nice. Lot of learning things have happened. In last 2 hours, we got to know many things of your in-house experience. You are yourself a big university to learn off with, many new avenues to learn what it works, how it works. If you can share that presentation, that will help people like us in our day-to-day life. That really
Yes, yes.
goes
So in fact,
better.
the workbook that I have shared, right, has got everything. मतलब
Okay.
जो भी आपने देखा सब कुछ है. So you
Okay.
can use the workbook, and then if you have any question on the group that we will provide, you can ask anything that you want to ask.
Okay. So
Yeah.
nice of you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It was
My
really a lot
pleasure.
of
My pleasure.
learning, sir.
Yeah. So you can also visit our website crossoverleaders.com. तो आपको वहाँ पे काफी और information मिलेगा. A lot of stuff is there. In fact, you will get a lot of ideas on how to run a journey. So we usually don't do one-off program as much as possible. So we always do 6 months, 12 months, जिसके अंदर एक dedicated mentor होता है. We involve the supervisor in the process. We get the management's buy-in. So we can really show the the movement in the way people change. And it's been like close to a decade now. We're in the 10th year of our work, and it's so phenomenal to see how someone I have trained in 2016 has now become like a mid manager. Mid management has become senior management. So years after year they tell us सर ये आपने सिखाया था उस दिन वो अभी तक हम लोग काम में आ रहा है. So it's a very nice model. You can see a lot of stuff is there on our website. A lot of my webinars are loaded on the website, so you can go and see a lot of interesting webinars of the past. You can go and visit them, listen to them, and keep interacting over WhatsApp. More than happy to help all of you on whatever role that you are in. So thanks, Ravi. I think we are good. If you want to, I think Deepika was saying that you wanted last 5 minutes. So if you want to just do the wrap up, we can.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So just one more minute.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure.
Okay, just one minute. I mean, it was a very insightful session, and I would just like to say you mentioned about S4. You know, when you kind of get a little slow with your employees, as in you take it for granted that they know the work, and you're not really getting into that active mode. I think today's session kind of gave me a little bit of a jerk in that sense, because I realized I was getting in that S4 mode wherein I was not really looking at getting back to S1. So
Good, buddy.
yeah, so I think today I've got a jolt, and maybe from tomorrow I'm gonna move to S1 now.
Ekdam. Very nice. Amazing. Yeah. Can we clap for yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, thank you,
Yeah.
Shweta.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes.
Very nice.
Great.
Thank you,
Anyone
Shweta.
else like to share something? Otherwise, we are coming to an
It
end.
was wonderful, Yogesh. I mean, it's always a pleasure, listening to on the
Yeah.
other side and listening. So I had a great time. Lovely examples. And so again, what I also feel as a facilitator, the S2 part, that's not a problem when the skill is low and motivation is high. The problem comes in when they get little bit of skill and motivation goes down. And that
Yes.
is where the leader needs a jerk and, start
Yeah.
thinking that where am I going wrong? So
No,
beautiful
no.
session. Loved it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vibhu. Yeah, it's a very nice session. And on 23rd, I am doing a session on EI. So if you guys are free, please come. Because EI, I feel is a great combination before contextual leadership. Because style 3 में क्या होता है ना कि we almost think that यार ये बंदा क्या कर पाएगा, that is why you want to manage your. And in our EI session, we bring in this whole idea of how can you change your thinking to be more positive as a leader and
Absolutely.
don't always look at. So it's a great combination you can do. So Ravi, next year
Great.
2026 में हम लोग ISTD के लिए EI भी कर देंगे, So January I
Yes.
would be more than willing to
In
do it.
fact, just to share about Pune, yeah, we have 330 plus members,
Yes,
and we
yes,
have 80 plus PhD holders.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
more often than not, you will find that all of us are more eager to train than learn. But today, when I look at the number, I think it was really wonderful.
Yeah.
And I want to thank each one of you uh,
Yeah.
from Pune, and across India. I would like to also extend my thanks to regional vice president and chapter chairpersons and our team members from different chapters, and also my team where they have gone ahead and shared this particular invitation to different similar type associations like be it IAF, be it NHRD, and even academic partners. So I would also like to extend heartfelt thanks to all of them. I would also like to thank Deepika, who was
Hmm.
behind the scene, but she
Yeah.
has done wonderful job with respect to giving me update about this, talking
Yes.
about how it should go. And although we are discussing right from the October, November, yeah, but I think uh, हर एक चीज का एक टाइम आता है, तो it was good compared to December. It was really tough time to spare
Yes.
enough time for the session, and this
Yeah.
happened at right time.
Yes.
And last but not least, Yogesh, I must thank. I remember my visit to IF Hyderabad hub as a doing a first session, and
Yes.
you have done first session for our new year.
Yes.
So thank you
Yeah.
so much for sparing time, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Thank
Keeping
you.
it
Thank you so much.
interactive and conversational is the
Yeah. I
key.
think
And as
Yeah,
facilitator, we
Sabha wanted
enjoy
to
that.
share something. Yeah, Sabha.
No, nothing. I said thank you so much. I've already registered for EQ. Looking
अरे क्या
forward.
बात. आ जाओ
I
आ
was
जाओ.
driving, so I couldn't express my feedback. But
नहीं
I've
नहीं.
already shared the survey. Thank you so much. It
Lovely,
was a
lovely.
wonderful
Thank you.
session.
Thank you,
Yes,
Sabha.
Prerak ji, Umakant, Dahad ji, so they are coming from different chapters. And Prerak ji, I
Yes.
must thank him because every learning forum, his participation, he is not just a listener, but also contributor in the session.
Yes.
And with
Yes.
his vast experience of public sector, it's always getting a different perspective and learning from his experience. Thank you, Prerak
Right.
ji. It was
Right.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And thank you once again. We are reachable. Feel free.
Yes.
Pune chapter is a learning space, and we look forward offering more and more opportunities.
Very nice. Very
And
nice.
wish you good
Super.
night. It's 20:30.
Okay.
What a timing. Awesome.
एकदम perfect. एकदम बढ़िया.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Ravi. Thank you, Ravi ji, for kind words.
ठीक है.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.